Hello, welcome to our web chat on summer work and travel. My name is Allison Hanna. I'm a Consular Officer at the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about the summer work and travel program, and then I'm going to answer as many questions as I can from the questions that you've submitted via our online format. And you can keep submitting questions as I'm speaking, and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. I'm sure most of you are already familiar with the Summer Work and Travel Program, what it is and what you get to do in the United States. It's a temporary work program for the summer where kids get to also learn a little bit about American culture. So it's an exchange program with a work component, and kids get to travel as well. So it's a really neat program, and we have already started interviewing for this season. We already have students coming to their visa interviews for Summer Work and Travel for 2011. And we are very excited that we have started for this year, and we're seeing lots of great students, and we look forward to many more great students before the end of the season. As you know, this is a program for university students. So university students can participate. If you're not a student, you cannot participate in this program. Students usually work in service jobs in the U.S. in resort towns. They may serve food at a restaurant. They may clean a hotel room or something like this. So jobs that are based mostly in the service sector, a lot of times on the East Coast of the United States. All applicants this year must apply through a local agency, and the local agency must have a U.S. sponsor partner in the United States. If you have any questions about local agencies, we can help you determine if the local agency is authorized to work with a U.S. sponsor or not if you have questions. And you can contact us via our website. This year, and in years past in Embassy Kyiv, all participants have had to have a job offer prearranged before they come to their visa interview. It's no different this year. This year, the U.S. sponsors are required to review these job offers in the United States and just make sure everything's okay. And they are doing that in the U.S. this year. So we're seeing a lot of good information coming from our partners in the United States. Job offers have a lot of specific requirements, and the main point of this is that job offers must be they must be within the spirit of this program. This is an exchange program, and we want students to have a positive impression of the United States when they come back. So certain jobs are not allowed. Most jobs in the food sector, service sector, or if you're cleaning a hotel room, those jobs are okay, but there are some jobs that are prohibited. We are now going to take a few of your questions. We've had a lot of questions submitted, so we'll try to get through as many as we can. If we have repeat questions, we'll try not to answer those because, we don't want to waste our time here. So I'm going to have my colleague ask me the questions, and I'll answer them as best as I can for you.
When is the deadline to submit group visa applications for Work and Travel USA?
This is a very good question that we've gotten from a few different people. There is no deadline this year, and in past years there's also not been a deadline. We recommend that students apply by the middle of June. This is because if they apply any later, they're going to get to the U.S. so late in the summer that they might not recoup the costs that they spent on purchasing the package for this program from their local agent. So we recommend that local agents send their students to us by the middle of June.
Please tell us when to apply for participation in Summer Work and Travel program.
As you know, as I said before, the program is open and we're ready to accept your application. We have many students every day who are already going through their visa interview. So the season is underway, and you're welcome to apply any weekday that's not a holiday at the U.S. Consular Section.
How does the participation in electronic diversity visa lottery, also known as green card lottery, influence on obtaining the visa?
Entering the green card lottery, also known as the diversity visa lottery, does not mean an automatic visa refusal. However, the consular officer needs to determine if the person who entered the green card lottery wants to immigrate to the United States. A summer work and travel visa is a non-immigrant visa. That is, it's a temporary visa for people to come back at the end of the program. Consequently, if someone has entered the green card lottery, they may have shown us that they want to immigrate to the U.S. The consular officer is going to have to talk to the applicant or the student participant in more depth to determine the specifics of their case. So it's on a case-by-case basis.
What should I do if my student card is lost and here it takes much time to get a new one? The letter from the university confirming my student status and grade book will be present at the interview. What documents are to be presented to the embassy instead of the student ticket and grade book?
We realize that it's sometimes difficult to get a new student ticket if your student ticket was lost or stolen. We do require some documentation that you're a student. The student ticket is the best proof that you're a continuing student in Ukraine. If you don't have your student ticket, you should bring a document from your university that proves you are a student. It would be best if this document also included your photo and some information about your university. However, we cannot guarantee that without a student ticket that you will be able to get a visa.
If I am a fifth-year student in Ukrainian university and I graduate in 2011, what are my chances in getting visa?
As I said, we do not automatically refuse any category. If you're a fifth-year student, it does not mean you're automatically not going to get a visa. We review every case individually, and consular officers talk to every student to determine what their ties are to Ukraine. If you're about to graduate from university, you must show the consular officer that you have other strong ties to Ukraine other than your studies, because by definition, your studies will be ending because you will be graduating from university. So it's important that you're ready to discuss your ties to Ukraine separate from your studies in Ukraine.
What are requirements for pictures?
We have specific requirements for photos that you can submit with your visa application. I'd like to direct you to our website to review those specific requirements because they are quite lengthy, and saying them here is not going to help. You can see the specifics on the website, and it's a very helpful website, so please check it out.
How can I get a visa to the U.S.?
Well, the only way to get a visa to the U.S. is to apply for a visa, and all that information can be found on our website. So I encourage you to take a look at our website. It's in many different languages, English and Ukrainian. So please take a look.
What kind of measures can be taken if the employer violates conditions of the contract or ignores them? Do you have a blacklist of employer that we shouldn't work with?
This is a very interesting question. Every applicant for a summer work and travel visa must read a special pamphlet or brochure that the consular officer gives to them at the time of their visa interview. This pamphlet explains to them that according to U.S. law, they have the right to go to court to seek justice if there's a contract violation or any other violation of their rights. Now, that's a pretty drastic step. If a student's having problems with their employer or their employer is not honoring the terms of the contract, they should first contact their U.S. sponsor. Their U.S. sponsor can help them navigate the U.S. system and to see how they can get help if their employer is not playing by the rules. We do a lot of research on employers in the U.S. and we try to make sure that students who go on summer work and travel go to businesses in the U.S. that are good for this program.
If I'm a student and I'm a full-time student, 21 years old, and I have a child and I'm married, what are my chances in getting summer work and travel visa?
If you're a full-time student in university, you're eligible to apply for this program. The consular officer is not going to think differently of you if you have a husband or a child or a wife, depending on your gender. Those are things we look at, but they don't disqualify you from getting a visa. You could very well be qualified. The consular officer would have to talk to you. Having a baby is, not something that would automatically make you ineligible to get a visa.
If I graduate from the university, but I will apply for the second degree and will be studying, and I will bring official document to confirm it, will I be able to get a visa? for summer work and travel program?
Students going on to their second education are eligible to apply for the summer work and travel program. As this individual asks, they will need to have documentation proving that they are going on to their second education. Just being a continuing student that is going on to another year of study does not automatically guarantee you a visa. As I've said before, the consular officer will talk to you and determine if you have strong ties to Ukraine. If you don't have strong ties to Ukraine, you probably won't be able to get a visa, but the consular officer will make a decision on a case-by-case basis.
What are the chances in getting visa for a correspondence form student?
Correspondence course students are allowed to apply for visas. They are full-time university students according to Ukrainian law, and the consular officer will talk to them individually about their studies to determine if their ties to Ukraine are strong. They're not disqualified. They're welcome to apply. I can't comment on the chances. We don't have, statistics or numbers on that. But it's, being a student who studies via correspondence course does not automatically disqualify you from a visa. It is university study, and a consular officer will take a good look at your application and discuss with you your ties to Ukraine.
I am a third-year student, and this is my second degree. I will be participating in summer work and travel for the fourth time this year. I didn't have any troubles in previous years. Will I be able to get the visa?
I don't know. You'll have to apply. I cannot speculate on particular situations. So, if you're eligible to apply, apply, and the consular officer will make a decision about your case.
What can you say about accreditation of summer work and travel agencies in Russia for this season? Did you hear anything about it?
The U.S. Embassy in Moscow and the constituent posts in places like St. Petersburg, Ekaterinburg, Vladivostok, they run their own program, and unfortunately I just don't know very much about what they're doing there this year. But I'm sure the information is available on their website.
I'm fourth-year student. Will I have any problems applying for the visa?
Well, anyone is welcome to apply. If someone is coming to the end of their studies, that is, if they're in the fourth or fifth or sixth year of their studies, they need to make sure the consular officer understands that they have strong ties to Ukraine. I cannot say if you have a problem or not. It depends on the person and on their interview and the consular officer and many other factors.
One of the agencies asks whether they should keep on stapling MRV vouchers to the first page of the DS-160 confirmation page, or they can paper clip them.
Staple. We would like you to please staple them because paper clips are heavy and staples are not as heavy. So please staple. It helps us go faster so we can interview more students and issue more visas. So please staple.
Will I be able to read the results of the chat or listen to them later if I miss it today?
That's a good question. We will have to get back to you on that. I think we will post it on our website, but I'm not sure off the top of my head. I'll ask my colleague.
Agencies ask whether they should try to book interviews after 7 days after submitting DS-160 application. Does it mean 7 business days, or can they count weekends too?
It means 7 business days, right? Or does it mean...
It means a week.
It means a week. Okay, let me clarify. It means 5 business days or 7 days. So we need 5 business days to process the application, that is after it's submitted. So the 7 days counts the weekend. It's 5 business days or 7 calendar days, unless it's a holiday, in which case, that is not a business day. So please look at our calendar on our website to determine what our holidays are, because we observe both Ukrainian and American holidays.
Do I have to have a sponsor or to do the work and travel program, or job offer would be enough to apply for a visa?
In order to apply for summer work and travel, you must have a U.S. sponsor. There is no way to get a summer work and travel visa unless you go through a U.S. sponsor, an accredited, designated U.S. sponsor. The only way to apply for a visa in Kyiv is to go through one of these U.S. sponsors' local agents who they've designated to us that they have a partnership agreement with. So if you have a job offer and you want to go to the U.S., you must find a local agency and a sponsor in order to get you the special form, which is called a DS 2019, which allows you to be an exchange visitor in the United States.
If I am not a student, can I participate in summer work and travel program?
Unfortunately, this program is for students only.
What kind of evidences of previous participation and experience in work and travel program do I have to bring to the interview if I participate in the program for second or third time?
That's a good question. At the very minimum, you should be ready to talk about your previous experience in summer work and travel. If the consular officer asks you where you worked, you should be able to tell him or her where you worked. You may want to bring a pay stub or a document showing that you were paid in the United States. If the consular officer asks for that, it could be helpful. Or a letter of recommendation. It's not required. Not every consular officer will ask for it, but it's something you might think about if you want to be very prepared for your interview. Again, it's not required. We have many questions, so we're reviewing them. One moment, please.
There is a question from one of the agencies in Belarus. They manage summer work and travel program. The agency was accredited this year by Moscow U.S. Embassy. Unfortunately, the only available date was 2nd June. They're asking if they can bring Belarusian students to Ukraine for the interviews. What would be the date of the interview and how to apply, and whether sponsors should write the email to the Consular Section in Kyiv and ship forms to Kyiv.
Okay. This is a complicated question, so I'm going to talk about it for a few minutes. People who live in Belarus can apply for a visa either in Russia or in Ukraine. Those are their two designated posts where they can apply because the embassy in Minsk is not doing very many visa interviews. If you want to send students to the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv to apply for a visa, the first thing that must happen is the DS 2019 must be shipped from the U.S. sponsor to the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv. If we don't have a DS 2019 here, a hard copy DS 2019, you cannot schedule an interview. Once we have the hard copy DS 2019, we will notify our call center that the student's DS 2019 has arrived and that they can schedule an interview. In order to schedule an interview, a Belarusian agency must contact our call center, and information about how to schedule is available via the call center, and we can also send this to Belarusian agencies who are considering scheduling students in Kyiv. If you send us an email via our website, we can help you understand the process better, because we realize that this may be your first time sending students to the embassy in Kyiv. Let me make sure I answered all the questions. The appointment dates are ongoing. I'm not sure exactly when the next appointment date, but it's definitely not as late as June. It's definitely as early as March and possibly April. So
the first available date is March 29th.
The first, my colleague is telling me now that the first available date we think is March 29th. So you know, our wait time is not as high. We're not as big of a post as Moscow or St. Petersburg. So we encourage you to contact us offline, and we can help you understand how to complete our application procedure properly according to the specifications that we have set out and that the call center requires in order for us to be able to keep track of who's applying and whose DS 2019s we've received. I hope that answers the question.
And one more question. How and where students should pay visa fees?
This is a question from a Belarusian.
MRV fee.
In Ukraine, Ukrainian citizens must pay the MRV fee at any pro-credit bank.
As well as Belarusians.
Belarusians also should pay the $140 machine-readable visa fee at any pro-credit bank.
Can we write in Russian? Can we submit questions in Russian?
You can submit questions in Russian. We are polyglotti.
Are PhD students allowed to participate in summer work and travel program?
According to the rules set out by the Department of State, PhD students are not eligible to participate in summer work and travel. We're trying to track your questions. We're getting very many, so give us a moment while we read the next question.
I'm going to just copy and paste it for you. Allison, there is a question. Hello, greetings.
Okay, we've posted a question here on the screen. I hope everyone can see it. The question is about only I can see it. Okay, I'll read the question. Local agency Lucky Star Travel is asking about international students from Poland that are studying in Ukraine. Their last day of work. Their last day of work depends on what... that's a really good question, actually. Can you send us that question via email, and I'll examine the law more closely? I'm actually not sure about the answer to that question. We have on our website, you can find our contact information, and you can send us an email with that question, because it's a little complicated. So I need to check with the regulations. Okay, we have a question from a director of the Youth Travel Center. Belarusian students are assigned for an appointment on March 22nd. Is it possible for the students to pick up their passports at the embassy and proceed and process the passports within 2 days? All applicants who interview for a visa must pay the Elin FedEx company a 60 hryvnia local Ukrainian currency fee for delivery, even if you're not having your passport delivered. They still must pay this fee so that the courier service, FedEx, Elin, can track your passports. It's not just the fee for delivery, it's also a fee for keeping track of all these passports we get. So they can pick it up. They will have to pick it up from the courier service, not from the embassy. And to do that, they still have to pay the fee. But they can exempt themselves out of the delivery. They don't have to have it delivered because they don't live in Ukraine and we can't deliver internationally. We always try to process Belarusian visas as quickly as possible because we realize that people who are citizens of Belarus cannot travel back to Belarus without their passport. However, we cannot guarantee it'll be within 2 business days. We have many internal processes that need to take place. As I said, we try very hard to process these visas for any Belarusians, not just summer work and travel, as quickly as possible, but we can make no guarantees.
American sponsor is buying medical insurance for students 2 weeks prior to the participation in the program. That's why students cannot bring it to the embassy at the interview. Would it be enough for students to present a letter from American sponsor that confirms that there will be medical insurance?
Unfortunately, we need to see proof of insurance coverage at the time of the interview. It's a legal requirement. Let's see, we have a question. Someone's plastic student ID card was stolen. They applied for a new one, but they can't guarantee that they will receive it this semester. Can they bring other proof? As I said before in the web chat, yes, there are other things that a consular officer will consider other than a student ticket. You should try very hard to get a new student ticket. But if you have only a spravka or something like this, we will look at it, and we will see if that is okay for your visa interview. Let's see, we have a question. What must I know to get the visa? Well, that's a broad question. You must know a lot of things. One example is English, which is required to participate in this program. All of the requirements for participation in summer work and travel are laid out on the U.S. Embassy Kyiv's website in the Non-Immigrant Visa section. I encourage you to read the website. It's very helpful, and it's in both Ukrainian and English, in case your English isn't perfect yet. Do second-time participants, repeat participants, have to provide a copy of the DS 2019 form from last year? No, this is not required. If they have it, they should keep it as evidence of their participation in the program, but they don't have to show it to the consular officer. That's not required. So, they can bring it with them if they want, but it's not a requirement. Let's see.
It's pretty much
if a student wants to prove that they've been in the U.S. before, a good document to bring would be their passport with their visa in it, because this shows me that they have received a visa before. But again, that's not required to participate in the summer work and travel program. It's not required for the interview. The question is, what should be written in the field, the authority who issued the passport, if in Ukrainian international passports are numbers, not the name of the city? I don't know the answer to that question.
the name of the city where a passport was issued.
Okay. The name of the city where the passport was issued should be written in that field. So if you got your passport in Kyiv, you should write that the authority that issued it was the Kyiv Passport Authority of Ukraine. Let's see. Is it right that job offer and Sevis receipt should not be submitted during the interview? That is not correct. The proof of Sevis payment must be submitted at the time of the interview. However, the job offer does not need to be submitted at the time of the interview. In fact, a job offer, a paper job offer signed by the student and the employer in the U.S. is no longer required for the interview. We require the DS 2019, which has come to us via mail from the U.S. sponsor. We require the application, proof of Sevis payment, proof of student status, and proof of insurance, as well as a passport, a photo, and proof of MRV fee payment. And that is all that is technically required this year. Why cannot students work at the west side of the USA? I think this question is actually why can students not work on the west coast of the United States or in the western portion of the U.S.? And actually, we have many students who go to the western portions of the U.S. every year. Lots of students go to state parks in California or Wyoming. We have kids who go to Alaska, which is one of the furthest west points in the United States. So it just really depends on where jobs are available. A lot of jobs are available on the East Coast because their summer season for vacation occurs during the time when Ukrainians have their summer vacation from university, but there are jobs available on the West Coast. What documents must be provided by a part-time student? A part-time student can't apply, can they?
Full-time student. I mean, they probably are asking about заочники.
Oh, okay. I think this question is actually asking if you are a correspondence course student, what documents should you submit? You should submit proof of your student status and the other documents that I have discussed earlier in this chat. So, you must still provide your student ticket and your student book. We do not have any quotas for the number of participants. We have a question about quotas. There's no upper limit. We would love to issue everyone a visa to the U.S. for summer work and travel. If everyone were qualified, we would issue everyone. So it just depends on who's qualified and who's not qualified. What educational institutions are participating in this program is the question. We don't actually work directly with educational institutions. We work with local agencies, which are usually private companies, and they work with U.S. sponsors in the U.S., which are also private companies. We don't have direct relationships with local institutions, educational institutions, so I would imagine all universities are able to participate if they want. I actually don't know if there are local, laws or requirements that would prohibit some of them from applying. Let's see, this question is, how can I prove that I will come back to Ukraine if I'm a student of the fourth course? Unfortunately, there are, many possibilities of ways that an applicant could prove they're coming back to Ukraine. It just depends on the conversation they have with the consular officer on the day of the interview. There's no one document that will prove that someone is coming back to Ukraine. It depends on many different factors. The next question is, at what level do you need to know English to participate in this program? Well, if you understand what I'm saying on this web chat, your English is probably good enough to participate in this program. But students need a basic to intermediary understanding of English. They need to be able to conduct an interview with the consular officer about their job, about their schooling, what they study, and they need to understand that they have rights in the U.S. And if they don't understand that, they can't be safe when they participate in this program. And that would be a reason for them not to get the visa. But if their, English is good enough to have a conversation with someone like me, then that level of English is okay. Let's see. We have a question from I believe it's a local agency. The question is, we use block appointment system, which is the system we use to schedule visa interviews for summer work and travel. Please advise us if we can include participants in one appointment form or if they have different FedEx tracking numbers. If yes, please advise where you want these tracking numbers to be written. I think that question, if you could please ask that question to the call center, because they are actually not, they don't sit with us in the consular section, so we don't have constant contact with them. We don't see the forms for scheduling. So specific questions about scheduling, please contact the call center to understand their requirements. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Is there any kind of video about summer work and travel, and where can I find it and watch it? Well, this is a really good question. There is a video about summer work and travel. We just made a video about the summer work and travel program that explains your rights in the U.S. and how to stay safe and how to have the most fun. Please go to our website and you can watch our video, or go to the U.S. Embassy Facebook page and you can also watch our video there. It's on YouTube, so please check it out. It's really interesting. It's in Ukrainian, and I think it'll help you understand the program. Should we make Xerox copies of credit book and student card? Not for us. You're welcome to make them for yourself, but it's not required for the visa interview. This question is, why was the U.S. Embassy very difficult yesterday? I don't really understand the question, so, every visa applicant is considered separately, so, I hope if someone had a bad experience, I'm sorry for them. I feel bad. Let's see here. I hear that the connection is bad. I'm sorry. We're doing the best we can on the connection here. I think that maybe the internet's slowing down, but we'll try to, use the bandwidth we have. So.
It's about student ID card lost and stolen.
Okay. Okay, this is a question about lost and stolen student ID cards or tickets. The question is, according to the rules, most universities have student ID cards that are reissued just once a year, and it will happen only in September 2011. So unfortunately, there is no chance for students to get a new ID card earlier. They had references from universities at the time of the interview confirming the student ID card will be reissued in September, but they were not accepted at the interview. And can you scroll down a little bit? Just reading. And students were still denied. If a consular officer is not convinced that the applicant is a continuing student or a student at all, they're going to refuse the visa. Unfortunately, as we said at the beginning of the season in December, a student ticket is the best way to prove that you're a student. I'm sorry if students lost their student tickets or they got stolen, but this is a very important document in Ukraine, and I've seen students who had them issued not in September, so I think maybe you need to look at the Ukrainian regulations a little more closely. Let's see. The question is, can I take part in the program Work and Travel after participating in the internship program? Well, these are two separate programs. They're not related to each other. If you participate in the internship program, it doesn't disqualify you from participating in summer work and travel. If you're a continuing student and in a university and you study full-time, then you're welcome to apply for summer work and travel. There's another question, will there be a web conference about the internship program? And we don't have one planned right now, but if many people are interested, we could set one up. So I'll talk to my colleagues when I get back to work, and I will ask them if someone can do that. The question is, do we have to provide original of the student ID card, international passport, and gradebook for consular pre-screening, or a transcript will do? In past years, we have requested that students and local agencies submit documents in advance for pre-screening. We're not doing that this year. We don't require anything in advance other than the DS 2019 shipped from the U.S. sponsor, and the application form must be filled out a certain number of days before the visa interview. I believe it's a week. So we don't require the photocopy of this in advance or anything like that this year. But just make sure you provide the barcode number to the call center. The barcode number is the number on your application that says you've submitted your application. This number needs to be submitted to our call center so that you can schedule your interview with the call center. The question is, this program is very interesting. Who organized it? This program is many years old. It's been going on for a long time. I believe the origins are in, Congress passed a law allowing this category of visa, and the program sort of grew because it is very popular. It's a joint program administered by the Department of State and U.S. sponsoring organizations. So it's a, sort of a public-private partnership type program that we think is also very cool. So I'm glad everyone thinks it's interesting. Let's see. The question is, I believe, from a local agency. It says, we have sent you agreements with sponsor organizations before. If we start to cooperate with a new sponsor now, is it still accepted if we sent an agreement to you? Will the DS forms from the sponsor be accepted? If we sometimes require you to send us your agreement with the U.S. sponsor if you're a local agent. However, this year, the U.S. sponsors are telling us who their local agents are. So we're doing it the other way around. The U.S. sponsors send information to us, telling us who their local agents are. So if your U.S. sponsor has told the Department of State that you're their local agent, then you're all set. So, if you don't need to send us any additional information for that. As long as you're on your U.S. sponsor's list of designated local agents, you're fine. We do not have, we have a question about statistics. How many visas were refused? How many of them are 4th or 5th students? We've only been interviewing for a few weeks now. We don't have statistics on this yet. I'm sorry, I can't be specific on that. We have a question, how do you book block appointments for summer work and travel participation? This email, we emailed this information, a lot of information on how to schedule. This was emailed to all of the designated local agents who were designated by a U.S. sponsor to operate in Ukraine. And this information was emailed several weeks ago to all of the local agents. If this is a Belarusian local agent and you haven't gotten the information yet, we can send that to you separately. Please send us an email and we will make sure you get that information, because we realize that you may not have been participating in our meetings from the very beginning because you're in Belarus and not in Ukraine. The question is there some kind of limit for students who can have their visa? As I said earlier in the web chat, no, there is no upper limit, there's no quota. We don't have to refuse this certain percentage. We issue visas to everyone who's qualified. So we want to issue them to everyone. If everyone were qualified, we would issue visas to everyone. It just depends on the student and their particular circumstances and their qualification. Where can one see info about accredited agencies and sponsors? The U.S. Department of State has a list of the 52 U.S. sponsors on their website, and the list of local agencies who are partners with these sponsors in Ukraine will be on our website shortly, if it's not already there. So we will post that shortly. The question is, may a student indicate an agency address in the FedEx delivery form? Yes, they can indicate whatever address they want. If they prefer that their documents go to their agency, they're welcome to do that. It's their choice. We just have to make sure that they understand that their passport will be shipped to their agency, not to them. So they need to remember what address they put on their form. So. We have another question about bringing documents to the embassy in advance. No, this year we do not require the documents to be delivered to us in advance. The application still must be submitted online in advance, but you do not require we do not require these documents in paper form 2 weeks in advance like we used to do. So please refer to the email that we sent to you. It specifies the whole scheduling procedure. We have a question about students who are applying, who are citizens not of Ukraine but of other countries. They want to have their interview in Kyiv, or and not in their home country. If you're studying in Ukraine, if you're a full-time university student in Ukraine, you're welcome to apply in Ukraine. We will have your interview. You will conduct the interview in English with a consular officer at the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv. One thing to remember is that if you are a citizen of another country, you must demonstrate either strong ties to Ukraine or strong ties to your home country. Most consular officers may not have been to your country. If you are, say, a student from Nigeria, I've never been to Nigeria, so I cannot tell if you have strong ties to Nigeria, and I will evaluate your ties to Ukraine. So it may be a little harder for students from a third country to demonstrate their strong ties, but they're welcome to apply at our embassy in Kyiv. We have a question about the I-94 card, which is the little card that's given to you by the border guards when you enter the U.S. The question is, if they forgot to give their I-94 card when they left, if they forgot to give it to the airplane personnel. That's okay. There's information about where to send it on the Department of Homeland Security's website. So if you Google Department of Homeland Security, you can read how to submit your I-94 to them if you forgot to do it. We have a question. Should we translate the credit book and the student card? No, you shouldn't. All consular officers speak Ukrainian and Russian, and we can read your grade books and your student cards. We have a question about in which cases can a visa be refused. Any individual applying for a non-immigrant visa, especially summer work and travel, must convince the consular officer that they're going to comply with the terms of their visa. That is, they're going to do what they say they're going to do when they go to the U.S. and use the visa in the way that the law has specified that they can use it. And they must convince the consular officer that they are not going to immigrate to the U.S. That is, that they're not going to stay in the U.S. after the completion of their program. If a consular officer has doubts about any of these things, they can receive a visa refusal. The question is there a problem? Will there be a problem in obtaining a visa if someone has a refusal from last year? Well, it depends on why the student was refused in previous years. The consular officer will conduct a new interview with them and talk to them with fresh eyes and review their information and make a decision based on information this year. We have a question. If someone worked in the U.S. last summer, should I submit a tax application to the U.S. Tax Service before the visa interview this year? There is a way for summer work and travel students to get a tax refund. It's not required by law. You don't have to do that before the visa interview. So I encourage you to talk to your local agency and your U.S. sponsor about how to do that, but it's not required. Let's see. The question is, if the company in the U.S. does not provide a compensation policy number, can such a job offer be accepted? We do not take job offers this year. We take the information that is on the applicant's DS 2019 form. The U.S. sponsor reviews the job offer. That is the way it's done this year. So if the host company puts something on the job offer or doesn't put something on there, that's a question for the sponsor and not for us this year. Let's see. There's some questions about is a certain sponsor better than another sponsor. All the sponsors listed on the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs website, all of them are accredited by the U.S. Department of State. None is better than the other in the eyes of the U.S. government. Let's see. The question is, if I didn't get a visa this year, can I apply for the same type of visa again this year? students who were refused this year, anyone can apply for a visa. If you were refused a visa, you can reapply. However, we ask that you please wait till the end of the season so that people who haven't been refused can have a chance to apply for their visa. And we will have specific details for local agencies on how that's going to work later in this season. Let's see. We have a question about the last day to return from summer work and travel. That is to return to Ukraine from the United States. The last day of the program, the last day you can work in the U.S. for 2011 is September 6, 2011. After the end of the program, which is September 6, 2011, you have 30 days to leave the United States. So if you count 30 days from September 6th, I think that's October 6th, and you should come back by October 6th, please. We have a question. What is the latest time for going to the embassy and getting a visa? There is no last date. We encourage you to apply before the middle of June. The question is, can students work as a driver salesperson in the U.S.? According to the new pilot program that is in place for Ukraine this year and for Belarus as well, students cannot operate a vehicle commercially as part of their job. So I don't know the specifics of the job in this question, but if the student were required to drive, let's say, a commercial truck, a vehicle that sold ice cream, that would not be authorized this year. We have a question about when do interviews begin in Ukraine. Interviews have already started. I talked to, 50 students today already, so I look forward to seeing 50 again tomorrow. And please apply soon, apply early for your visa. The question is, can Ukrainian agencies recruit Belarusian students? Ukrainian agencies that are authorized to recruit students in Ukraine can recruit students who study full-time in Ukraine. If a student studies full-time in Belarus, they need to apply through a Belarusian agency. The question is, will the DS forms of denied students be sent to the local agencies or will be sent back to the U.S. sponsors? We are waiting for instructions from the Department of State in Washington to tell us what to do with the DS 2019s for students who receive the visa refusal. It will either be given back to the local agency or shipped back to the U.S. sponsor. We are not sure which one it will be yet, but we'll definitely let you know when we have the answer. We have a question. When is the next available date of the interview? When we checked earlier today, when we were looking at our scheduling, it looks like the next available interview is March 29th. But if you want to schedule for April or for May, you can do that now. We have appointments open for those days if they're more convenient for you. We opened appointments up until April 8th. So you can schedule up until April 8th. We have available appointments from March 29th to April 8th. Let's see, the question is, how many companies are accredited by the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, and which companies have the right to provide J1 programs in Ukraine? We will be posting the list of the local agents who are authorized to operate in Ukraine. We will be posting that soon. We're still waiting for some information from some of the agencies, and we'll post this list. I don't know how many there are off the top of my head. There are dozens. There are many. So we will post that list for you. The question is, if I receive a visa, how soon can I receive my passport with the visa in it? Our service standard is 3 to 5 business days, so probably no more than a week. Let's see, the question is, if the employer for the summer is located on the beach from 1st to 33rd Street with no specific address, they're renting umbrellas and beach beds, and their main office is located in a different state. What address should be put on the job offer and the DS form? The address that should be put on the DS form should be the address where the student will actually work. So if the student will actually work on the beach, they should find the best address that matches they will actually work on the beach. This is a question you need to address to your sponsor, though, not to us. We don't take job offers. We only take DS 2019s from U.S. sponsors. The question is, if someone has already been expelled from their university 2 weeks ago, but they have already signed the contract with their American employer, will they be able to go to USA this summer? No, they will not. If you're no longer a student, that is if you were kicked out of school, unfortunately, you're no longer qualified for this program. The question is, can denied students apply for a visa? Do they need to book individual appointments? We will get back to you on how denied students can apply for their visa later in the season. The question is, if I participated in summer work and travel in 2010 and I applied directly to a sponsor, can I go through the same route now, or do I need some local agency's participation? According to our rules this year, you need to have a local agent and a U.S. sponsor, and they work together to help you get your visa for summer work and travel this year. The question is, if the appointment time is 10:45, what time is better to get to the embassy? You should be on time, and you're welcome to come early. Sometimes we finish earlier appointments before 10:45, so you could have your appointment, you could have your interview prior to 10:45. So please come in advance. Please show up, early or on time. That would be very helpful for us. Can you scroll down on the thing a little bit? The question is, can a student apply for the internship trainee program if he or she has already been in the U.S. on summer work and travel? This is a chat about summer work and travel. You're welcome to apply for any visa. There is no, participation in one program doesn't disqualify you from participation in the other. So please go to our website and review the regulations. We have a question. An applicant applied. I don't exactly understand
Sent a request.
Let's see. It looks like either a local agency sent a request to the call center for an interview a week ago. How soon will the day of the interview be? That's a question for the call center. We don't know off the top of our heads. They do our scheduling, so please ask them. They will have the answer for you. The question is, how long can I stay in the U.S.? How long can I reside in the U.S.? And how much time can I work in the U.S.? Well, the program authorizes you to work for 4 months. The program is 4 months long. The end of the program is September 6th, so you can start working 4 months before that, and you cannot work past September 6th. So that means the program, if I'm counting correctly, is May 6th through September 6th. You then have 30 days to leave the U.S. after September 6th. If you don't leave the U.S. After those 30 days, or you don't have appropriate permission to stay in the U.S. beyond that you have received from the Department of Homeland Security, then you would be violating U.S. visa law. Let's see. The citizen of the European Union who studies here in Ukraine, is it obligatory for me to receive a J1 visa? If you want to participate in the summer work and travel program, you must receive a J1 visa at a U.S. embassy or consulate abroad. You cannot, if your country, I don't know what EU country you're from, some countries in the European Union travel to the U.S. as tourists without a visa. But if you're going for this program as a summer work and travel participant, you need a J1 visa. You cannot travel visa waiver. The question is, can a local agency in Ukraine pay a Sevis fee for a student and bring it to the embassy on the day of the interview? As long as the Sevis fee has been paid in the student's name prior to the day of the interview, I don't care who paid it. As long as it's paid, that's a good thing. So please, figure out a way to pay it prior to the interview. The question is, do university letters need to be in English, or is Ukrainian fine? They can be in Ukrainian or in English. They do not have to be in English. We read Ukrainian and Russian. The question is, we are a travel agency without a license. giving us the right to employ our clients abroad. That is, they don't have a Ministry of Labor license to send students abroad for work. They have a contract with a U.S. sponsor and would like to send some students on work and travel. What license do they need? According to Ukrainian law, in order to send Ukrainian citizens to work abroad, the Ministry of Labor requires a license showing that your agency or organization is authorized to send students to the USA to work. So that is required. I encourage you to contact the Ministry of Labor for details because I don't know exactly how that process works. Let's see. The question about how much does the courier service charge for delivery? That information is available on our website, but I think off the top of my head it is 60 hryvnias.
It doesn't have a stamp.
What's the question? I don't understand the question.
They used to stamp the passport.
The Ukrainian border guards. Okay.
Border guards.
The Ukrainian border guards have stopped stamping passports when you re-enter the country if you're a Ukrainian citizen. If you don't have that stamp and you want to prove that you returned on time, you could bring in your boarding pass from your ticket, which should have been stamped by the U.S. border guard when you left the U.S. As you know, it should be stamped that you went through security. Or if you went through the EU, you may have a stamp there too. Or any other evidence that proves that you came back to Ukraine on time would be welcome. We understand that the Ukrainian border guards no longer issue these stamps. The question is, what if I become sick during my work in the USA? Will I have some help? Will I continue my work? Or I'll be sent back to Ukraine? It depends. I would be very sad to hear if anyone got seriously sick in the U.S. You know, that's unfortunate. If someone gets sick in the U.S., they should talk to their U.S. sponsor. The U.S. sponsor will help them get the appropriate help. Every student who goes on summer work and travel will have health insurance and can go to the doctor in the United States. So please, you know, talk to your U.S. sponsor if you have that concern. We have good health care in the U.S., but, you know, you definitely need to check with your U.S. sponsor. The question is, can you move this little box here? Is there a quota of students in every agency this year? No, there is no quota. There are no quotas for any agency. There are no quotas for the U.S. Embassy. There are no quotas. So don't worry about quotas. We have 1 minute left, so we'll take the next question in line, and then we're going to have to go. The question is, can the international student ID card be present instead of a student ticket? No, you must have a student ticket issued by the government of Ukraine. And one last question. Hold on, we're typing it. We're typing it on the screen. Okay. We don't require the Sevis fee. The question is, do you need to submit your Sevis fee proof of payment at the time of the interview? You don't have to submit the actual receipt to us. We can see in our computer system if the student has paid the Sevis fee or not. So as long as it's been paid prior to the interview, our colleagues who check your application when you come in will check to see if that is if that has been paid or not. Students can bring it as extra proof in case there's a question or a problem, but it's not one of the required documents that should be submitted in our package. So unfortunately, we've run out of time for our web chat. It was a pleasure chatting with all of you. You had some really good questions. I hope that we answered all of them sufficiently. We're going to try to keep information coming to you. We will review these and write some frequently asked questions for our website. And best of luck in your interviews and in this season. Bye-bye.